this may come as a surprise to you, but I am actually a bit of an introvert. And with that introversion comes slight paranoia. When I'm about to go to a busy place with my family, I have to check my pockets for my phone, my keys, my wallet, just so I know they're there. And as we enter that busy place, whether it's a train station or a shop, a cinema, museum, okay, we've not done these things for a while, but wherever it is we go or have been, Toby will instinctively grab my hand. Now, when he was little, I used to have to remind him to just keep a tight hold, but now he just does it. He needs to know where I am. He wants to know I'm right there, right next to him. We often agree a meeting place in case we do get separated, but the likelihood of him getting lost is quite small because he sticks to me like glue. Now, if I went to some random child that isn't mine, it's likely that the child would, is it likely that that child would hold my hand and follow me wherever I went? Not really. And then the child would probably run to their parents and I'd be in a whole lot of trouble. So what's the difference? Why does Toby reach for my hand every time whilst another child just runs away? Well, Toby's my son. And we've been together pretty much every day for almost 14 years. I have loved him, protected him, disciplined him, played with him, helped him, nurtured him. To another child, I'm nothing, an unknown, and maybe someone to be feared. With my son, there's relationship. And relationship is key to the commandments. When we hear about the 10 Commandments, it's easy, I suppose, to imagine some gigantic, domineering being who leans over us, pointing a big sausage finger and demands that we do everything his way or else. Yet the God we know, the God who made us and serves and saved us, he demonstrates nothing but compassion. You see, before God ever uttered one word of his commandments to his people, he reminded them who he was. I am the Lord your God. He reminded them where they'd come from, slavery in Egypt, and where he was taking them to, which was freedom. And then and only then, he commanded, don't have any other gods but me. I find it fascinating that the creator of this universe, of everything and everybody, would point to the Exodus instead of the Genesis to grant his words to the Israelites. I mean, he could have said, I made you, so obey me. But instead he said, I saved you, so obey me. Back to my story at the beginning, when Toby grabs my hand, it's not because I force him to, but because he feels safe, knowing I'm right beside him. When the circumstances are overwhelming, he knows he can count on me to be right there for him. And that's relationship. God deserves our worship and obedience because only he is the creator of everything and everyone. No other phony God has added anything to our existence. Things have only been subtracted by way of distraction from the one true God. And let's face it, we've all been distracted. Truthfully, we've chosen to push down our knowledge of this creator and chase after other gods. Somehow it seems that our natural, sinful state is to run from the creator that we should know, but choose not to know. And so what's God's response? Does he go into a sulk because he's offended by our ignorance? Does he throw things around just to let us know how angry he is? No. He shows his power and majesty by saving us. Back then, for the Israelites, he crushed their oppressors, the Egyptians, and he mocked their so-called gods, making it plain to all that nothing and no one would ever match him. The Israelites were saved, no longer slaves, free to worship and obey the only true God. And the same is true for us. When we were shackled by lies, pain, and wrongdoing, God, in his matchless wisdom, his power, his majesty, and overwhelming love, sent Jesus, his only son, to step into this world to save us from our oppression and our slavery to sin. And that is the gospel. And those who believe in him are absolutely 100% free. But here's the quirk. Despite being all saving, all majestic, and completely worthy of our total devotion and obedience, God still felt it necessary to command us to worship nothing and no one beside him. Why is that? Well, time and again, through the story of the Israelites, we see how they somehow forgot their salvation, which brought them to freedom, and instead they turned their back on the almighty rescuer. It's easy for us to sit here and tut and roll our eyes and say what numpties they all were, but are we really any better? For the Israelites, a god was usually a carved image, something crafted by human hands. So it could have been a golden calf or a fish woman or any other number of things. And I know it sounds ridiculous that people would spend their time praying to idols made of stuff, but you see where I'm going with this? You are what you worship. If you worship and make anything else more important than God, you will become saturated with whatever that thing is to you. Confession, I have never, ever binge watched Netflix in my life, not even at the height of lockdown. And believe me, when I say this isn't because I don't want to, I am actually rather envious of the people who've got time to do it, to be honest. Is watching Netflix for hours on end a bad thing? No. Is allowing the watching of the latest Netflix series to become a priority a problem? Well, you decide. An idol is anything that you place at the top of the charts ahead of God. If he isn't your number one, then you've created an idol of whatever comes before him. Sometimes it's not even our stuff. Sometimes it's good intentions, even our children, our spouses, even our reputation or our pride that can masquerade as busyness. So here's my question to you. Can you deny that you've sought after other gods? Have you loved the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind? No? Well, neither have I. But thank God Jesus has, and his perfect obedience counts for us too. More than that, he shows us what it means to obey his first commandment, and we need to hold tight to the words of the Father. When Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, he called out, "Go away, Satan, for it's written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." So remember, the commandment follows the relationship. As you and I live and breathe, as we fight against Satan and sin, as we walk through the crowds of this world with all the pressures and the temptations that come, the Father says to us, hold my hand. I won't let go.